It's been said that governments are fragile. A tiny minority of bureaucrats are ultimately dependent on a mass population's permission to govern them. And when the people's trust has been so thoroughly, consistently, and incessantly betrayed, history has shown repeatedly that those governments come crashing down. That is what we are witnessing right before our very eyes. The bureaucratic deep state is toppling. Over the weekend, Elon hosted an X Space with Iowa Senator Joni Ernst, where he revealed what he found when looking under the hood, as it were, of an organization called the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID. Check it out.
As we dug into USAID, it became apparent that what we have here is not an apple with a worm in it, but we have actually just a bowl of worms. And so at the point at which you don't merely, like, if you've got an apple and it's got a worm in it, maybe you can take the worm out. But if you've got actually just a bowl of worms, it's hopeless. And USAID is a bowl of worms.
Mm-hmm.
There is no apple. And when there is no apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing. That is why it's got to go. You know,
So,
it's beyond repair. So, yeah.
well,
And so Elon made it absolutely clear that Doge is putting USAID into the wood chipper. The government agency formed years back by executive order is by another executive order being shredded and pulverized beyond recognition. But what is it? What is USAID? Well, the stated mission of the government agency is to provide economic development and humanitarian assistance worldwide. And it has an annual budget of over $27 billion to supposedly do just that. $27 billion. Some have argued that's more than even the CIA gets. But over the weekend, this government agency has been exposed to be little more than a money laundering front, dispensing billions upon billions of dollars into the coffers of Democrat loyalists, with a few Republicans in there as well. And this is key. It's not just a matter of billions of taxpayer dollars wasted on stupid programs like condoms to Gaza. It's how grifters in D.C. are raking in millions through a program that supposedly provides financial and humanitarian aid worldwide. Case in point, many of you know this fellow, Bill Kristol, the warmongering, ultra-Trump hating neocon that's worked tirelessly over the last 8 years to rid our nation of the MAGA movement. He's president of an organization called Defending Democracy. It's an organization that actively sought to suppress and censor pro-Trump Twitter and social media accounts. Several years back, Kristol was behind an operation called Hamilton 68, which was a dashboard that purported to track Russian bots and disinformation programs. It identified a list of over 600 Twitter users at the time who they claimed actively spread Russian propaganda on Twitter. Of course, this is before Elon bought it. And they were very influential in helping to drive the Russian collusion conspiracy hoax throughout the entire time of Trump's first presidency. Molly Hemingway of The Federalist published a piece back in 2018 that reported on how virtually all of the Russian collusion conspiracy quackery that the legacy media was peddling at the time came from the dashboard of Hamilton 68. Well, it may interest you to know you paid for that. You paid for that. You pay, and you continue to pay for Mr. Kristol's salary. And that, of course, is because he is defending democracy by getting paid through what's called the Rockefeller Philanthropy Advisors, a beneficiary of, you guessed it, USAID funds. So here's basically how the money laundering scheme works. If you want taxpayer dollars from the government, just be a serial grifter like Bill Kristol, create an institute dedicated to, quote, defending democracy. USAID then gives you money to, quote, defend democracy. You spend a portion of what they give you on kickbacks to Democrats' campaigns and unpaid PR and push their agenda domestically or internationally. And then in the process, you just pay yourself a nice, hefty salary through the Institute and profit. It's a money laundering scheme. It's one of the myriad of ways in which the swamp, most particularly Democrats, get rich off your tax dollars. They create this government funding agency. Then they create these fronts, these institutes and NGOs with cute little names like Defending Democracy that just justify funding them to the tune of millions of dollars. They spend a portion of what they get on kickbacks to Democrats, and then they pocket a six-figure salary. Rinse and repeat. It's corruption in its purest form. And to make matters worse, USAID is literally a money machine. It's an ATM for these grifters of special interests and international organization fronts that enrich themselves at taxpayer expense. USAID literally spits out money 24/7. Case in point, even though President Trump has ordered a freeze on all monies coming out of USAID, officials there still approved over $6 million in contracts just this past Friday. It was approved this Friday. This is part of the swamp that Elon, or the worms, the ball of worms that Elon's uncovered this weekend. Much of this under the guise, by the way, of miscellaneous expenditures. But as it turns out, this is just the tip of the iceberg. USAID is far more nefarious than you ever imagined. Trump is fully in the process of draining the swamp, but the uncertainty for many is, will he expose the entire pandemic? There's enough public evidence for folks to be concerned who injected themselves in this experiment. So if you were forced to get the shot to work, travel, or maybe you just trusted the system back then, check out this natural solution formulated by Dr. Peter McCullough in collaboration with the wellness company. And they just leveled up their original detox formula for $30 less. Introducing the 3-in-1 Ultimate Spike Detox, conveniently consolidated into one capsule with 4 times more nattokinase, 500 milligrams of bromelain, and 500 milligrams of turmeric root extract. Nattokinase and enzyme research for its anti-clotting effects may work to break down spike proteins. Combined with bromelain and curcumin, it provides a potent blend for detoxification and cellular support. Crafted with 100% natural ingredients, Ultimate Spike Detox is backed by research offering effective support for your cell's natural repair and recovery. Experience the only formula approved and used by Dr. Peter McCullough, a top freedom fighter doctor who risked it all. Click on that link below or head on over to twc.health/Turley and use code Turley to get 15% off plus free shipping. Again, that's twc.health/Turley. Use code Turley to get 15% off. Get back to that pre-COVID feeling today. As it turns out, USAID is not a humanitarian aid organization. Surprise, surprise. It is a front in order to run covert intelligence ops around the world to do coups and regime change operations and all kinds of other criminal activities. Here's Robert Kennedy Jr. explaining to Tucker Carlson how USAID is used as a front for CIA operations to overthrow governments.
There are riots it's called the Madonna Rebellion in Ukraine, which we're not told that we are financing those riots. The newspapers never told us, our government never told us. USAID, which is a CIA front, put $5 billion into funding those riots. Those riots lead to a coup d'etat against the first democratically elected government of the Ukraine. It was a government that refused to choose sides and to say, we're going to be on the side of the West. So we wanted them out. A month before that government is overthrown, Victoria Nuland, who's the part of the centerpiece of the neocon ideology and who is now a high-level official in the State Department, has a secret call with the U.S. ambassador, which is tape recorded and is now public, which anybody can go and look up, where she is picking the new cabinet for the Ukraine, which is which is a U.S. Western cabinet. So they're picking the new government a month before the old government is overthrown.
Is that how democracy when Victoria Nuland picks her government?
Well, that's the point. Is USAID doesn't really do, and the CIA don't do democracy. The CIA has overthrown, I think, 83 governments between 1947 and 1997. That's a third of the governments on Earth, and most of them were democracies. Oh, it doesn't do democracy.
So there you have it. USAID has been on the forefront of carrying out CIA operations like the Maidan Revolution in Kiev back in 2014, when the U.S. government deliberately overthrew a democratically elected government, but relatively pro-Russian government in Ukraine, and thus began the series of events that led to this horrific war, and ironically and cynically justifying it all by appealing to the West as the unbridled defender of democracy. The Russian geopolitical theorist Alexander Dugin tweeted out something quite profound, as he always does. Exposing the evil of USAID and what lies behind it is no less heroic as to conquer Mars. This is because USAID is one of the major heads of the multi-head swamp creature. Elon is picking up the sword and stabbing the very heart of the monster. As we speak, Trump is shutting down USAID. He's put a freeze on all U.S. foreign aid. He's put hundreds of USAID internal contractors and officials on unpaid leave or fired them altogether. He's removed senior officials. They've even taken down the website and their logos from government buildings. It really looks like whatever operations are left will be consolidated to within the State Department under the auspices of Marco Rubio. In other words, one of the most pernicious government money laundering operations just came to an end this weekend. As it turns out, government agencies really are fragile. Having repeatedly betrayed the people, they can indeed be quickly toppled. That's exactly what we're seeing with USAID. And as both Elon and Trump are promising, this is just the beginning. I want to personally invite each and every one of you to an incredible live event that you won't want to miss, the America's Golden Age Summit, where we explore how America is entering a new golden age filled with opportunities to thrive like never before. During this powerful 90-minute online event, my special guest and I will reveal some secrets for how you and your family can prosper in this new, exciting era. From financial strategies to building a legacy rooted in freedom and faith, this summit is designed to help you succeed. Spaces are limited, so don't wait. Register now and secure your online spot today. I can't wait to see you there.